So in my exploration of tobacco fragrances, I finally picked up a decant of Café Tabac by the house of Aedes de Venustas, which is a house that I am somewhat familiar with. And I've worn this a whole bunch of times. And today we're going to chat about my early impression of this fragrance. Hello guys, welcome back. I'm Eloise. I hope everyone is doing great. So today I want to talk about a tobacco fragrance that I recently got a decant of. It's called Café Tabac by the house of Aedes de Venustas, which is a house that was established in New York City in the West Village in 1995. And I was reading on the website that the original fragrances that they released were relaunched in 2021 and they were repackaged. So the fragrances, including Café Tabac, which was released in 2023, are now in these bottles that I'm gonna include here in the video. And I wanted to get a sample of this because I do like tobacco-centered fragrances, certain tobacco-centered fragrances. I have a bottle of Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. I really never use it. And I've been wanting to test out some other tobacco fragrances like Caron's Tabac Blonde. And I've had this one on my radar as well. And I actually explored the house first with Iris Nazarene, which I had a larger decant. I finished it, ordered a bottle that got lost in the mail, so I did get a refund, but I don't have a full bottle. And I ended up with another small decant when I purchased Café Tabac, and I really like Iris Nazarene. And there are a few other fragrances from the house that I'd like to explore, but this one was on my radar because I've been interested in tobacco fragrances, or at least getting my nose on some different tobacco fragrances that are out there that I might like. So the nose behind Café Tabac is Bertrand Duchefort. The concentration is an Eau de Parfum concentration, and I believe that the only size this comes in is the 100 ml, 3.4 ounce bottle, and on the official website, this goes for, I think, $245, somewhere around there. And this is not something that I've seen on discounters. The fragrances, I believe, are touted as high-quality fragrances. I think some of them have a lot of fans. Iris Nazarene, I think, is pretty popular. And this one specifically, I'm not sure is for me. The note listing is huge, and I will rattle off the notes really quickly in a minute. But I was reading the inspiration behind Café Tabac, and I thought it was quite cool because I had an image when I was testing this. I've worn this a whole bunch, and there was a certain image that was coming to mind that I wanted to share during this early impression / review of the fragrance. And then I read the inspiration behind this, and I thought it was interesting. It almost matches the image that I had somewhat. So it's really cool if you get the imagery that the creators sort of envisioned when they created the fragrance. And I guess they were spot on because I did sort of get it. So I wrote in my notes here that Café Tabac was basically inspired by a 90s bar in the East Village called Upstairs at Café Tabac. And it's described, if you look at the official website, it's described as a place where the truly glamorous could be truly off-duty, where Madonna picked up the phone, where Kate met Johnny, where Leo picked up supermodels. So that's the sort of inspiration behind the fragrance. The bar was basically a bar with blue smoke and maybe smoke from weed, cigars, cigarettes. And it was where these glamorous people could be off-duty, and it was the pre-cell phone sort of era. So that is the inspiration behind the fragrance. The note listing is huge. I'm going to read off the notes really quickly, just so I can sort of point out what I'm getting from this. So there is tobacco absolute, there is Peru balsam, cardamom, clove, bergamot, tar, tamarind, dry dates, there's cacao accord, there's burnt sugar, there's mango, beeswax absolute, apple, clary sage, davana, vanilla, there is oak moss, cistus labdanum, tonka bean, cedar wood, cade, and ambergris. The fragrance has a lot of notes. So I have a dry down here of about 3-4 hours, but I'm going to give a fresh spray to my other arm, and we'll talk about what this smells like. This does not hold back. It's not a shy fragrance. This is out of the gate a syrupy, dark, dense, full-bodied fragrance that has a lot going on. I'm not picking up every single note that I just read off of the note listing, but I do get the tobacco, I do get the smoke, and I do get coffee, and I get something that's chocolatey and dark, like a dark chocolate, but the consistency of the fragrance is syrupy. That's the one thing that sort of definitely stood out to me. It's a heavy, sort of syrupy, dense fragrance. And there's a lot of sweetness in here, which is what I personally am not a big fan of, but I really like the coffee. I like that tobacco-y, smoky aspect. And it doesn't come off like a vanillic, even though there's a burnt sugar note, it doesn't come off like a bright vanilla sweetness. It's more like gooey, dark, and sticky. Not honey-like, but more like a sweet date, if you're familiar with dates and how sticky they can be, especially if you ever tried medjool dates. They're sort of a little more dense and gooey, sticky from other types of dates. And there's something dark about the sweetness. So that I do like. And I like the prominent sort of coffee that I'm getting. I'm a coffee lover, and the coffee is dark. It's a dark roast. And I love chocolate, and I'm getting the chocolatey nuances in here. And I'm definitely getting some woody aspects at the same time. So there's a lot going on. That's why I'm describing this in such piecemeal. There really is a lot going on. I get spice. There is no doubt that there is spice in the opening. And I guess that's coming from all the spices in here. There's clove, there's cardamom, there's tamarind in here as well. And the smokiness is, to my nose, like the smoke that you would leave behind in a jacket, a piece of clothing. So the imagery that I got from this fragrance, before I read the inspiration behind it, the imagery that I got that I actually wrote down in my notes is being at a jazz club with dark wood paneling and these dark burgundy leather chairs with smoke in the air. People are smoking, and it's sort of a dark environment. It's evening and it's a club. And with this smoke in the air, you're having a coffee, an espresso coffee. And with that espresso coffee, you're having a dark chocolate cake that has caramel sort of drizzled on top with powdered sugar. So you're getting this sweetness, but at the same time, there's smoke in the air, and you're having a dark roast coffee. So there is a lot of sweetness to this, and it might be too sweet for my taste. And I have worn this numerous times on skin. I wanted to like it a little more than I do. I really did, because there is something that I sort of am attracted to in this fragrance. Maybe because so many of the notes and the scents that I'm getting are things that I like. I do like the gooey dates. I do like the coffee, the dark chocolatey nuances, and I like the tobacco. So I do like all of that. The fragrance is coming off like a dense fragrance. There's nothing airy about this whatsoever. As it dries down, I want to say that it might lose a little bit of the sweetness, but even when I get my nose to the dry down, hours later, it's still a fairly sweet fragrance. And like I said, it may not be a bright, vanillic, sugary sort of fragrance. It sort of does give you the feeling that it's a sweetness that's dark and sticky and gooey. But nonetheless, you have to like a sweet fragrance to like this. I just wish the sweetness was toned down because I like the other parts of the fragrance. I think it's well done. I think it smells high quality. I think Iris Nezarine smells high quality as well. So I have a good impression of the house of Aedes de Venustas, and I'm looking forward to exploring more of the fragrances. This one may just have to be a pass. And even in the dry down, I was hoping maybe it would get less sweet, and it does get a little bit less sweet, but it still might be a little too sweet for my liking. I definitely start to get a little bit of woody aspects as this dries down, and I pick up on those balsamic notes, and it just adds to the syrupy nature and consistency of the fragrance. So it opens rich, it dries down rich, and it's just rich all throughout, and it's really yummy. It's almost like a gourmand sort of coffee, tobacco, chocolatey fragrance that has a date-like dark syrupy sweetness. So that's Cafe Tabac in a nutshell. That's my early impression of the fragrance. Let me know in the comments if you guys have tried this and what you guys think about this fragrance. And as always, thank you so much for watching, your support, and your comments. Until next time, bye guys.